Welcome to Let's Talk Brock.
All right, welcome to this episode of the Let's Talk Brock podcast. Today, joining me on the show is Tara Lundy. She's a current student in the nursing program here at Brock University. Tara, thank you for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing fantastic. I thought we could start sort of right at the start of your Brock journey. So let's go all the way back to, you're in grade 11 or grade 12. Let's go, why Brock and why the nursing program for you? Why was that the best fit?
Okay, well, for nursing, I've always been interested in the healthcare and the science field. And I do have a degree before I went to Brock in immunology and microbiology from Dal. But then I decided to go into nursing because I think it's a very meaningful career that gives you the opportunity to help people at their most vulnerable time. And there's so many different nursing streams and there's growth in the profession, and that really attracted me. And then for Brock, I chose Brock because I do live in the Niagara region, but after I toured the campus and I saw the nursing lab, it really impressed me. And it's a beautiful campus, and they have a new simulation lab that gives students the opportunity to do hands-on skills. And yeah, I've loved my time at Brock so far.
Yeah, that's awesome. Like you touched on that nursing simulation lab, something that's very exciting, big draw for nursing students. Obviously, we have I believe two whole buildings, right, booked out for those simulations lab over in East Academic. So
Yep.
so that's
Yep.
great there. So a little bit different for you because like you mentioned, you had already had a degree, but I guess you can even sort of apply it back to the first degree that you got. I know a lot of people have a lot of fears coming into university, right? There's a lot of anxiety. You're not sure how it's going to work compared to high school. So if you can look back on that experience, what was your biggest fear coming into university? How were you able to overcome that?
Yeah, I remember being really worried about the homework load. Everyone talked about there being so much homework. And I think it's really important to have a good social school balance. I mean, you don't want to fall behind in school, but I found when I just worked constantly on school and nothing else, I had burnout. And so I think it's really important for you to take time for yourself and just to make sure you have some time to do things that you find fun. That would be my advice.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic advice. I think it's really easy to lose sight of, what's important when you're really, you're in the middle of the semester and you're focused. Maybe it's the middle of midterm season. You don't necessarily make time for those social interactions, but super important for sure, no question. Now, you mentioned those nursing simulations lab. We talked about a little bit about them earlier. I was just wondering, we really stress experiential learning here at Brock, and especially in the nursing program. There's a lot of emphasis on experience. You're getting into it beginning in your first year. So could you take us through a little bit of those experiential learning components, speak a little bit about your placements as well as those labs, anything you want to touch on there?
Yeah, of course. So, unlike many schools, Brock starts hospital clinical in their first year under normal circumstances. And then we're in the hospital clinical each semester from there. On top of that, we're in the lab first and second year, where they have lifelike sims that students get to practice on. And they have the same equipment in the hospital as they do in the lab. Like they have the catheters, the IV medications, and sterile technique to practice. And in terms of placements, the different types of placements there are medical, surgical, mental health, women and babies, pediatrics, community health. And then in your fourth year for your pre-grad, you get to choose your top 5 areas. Like right now, I'm in the ICU and I absolutely love it. And in terms of where you're placed, it's always in the Niagara region. So it's nice because you don't have to travel far. You're in the region. But you can request out of region placements for your pre-grad. So that's also a nice option too.
Yeah, it's great to have some flexibility, I'm sure. Now, you mentioned you're in a placement in the ICU right now. What does the day-to-day look like for you when you're in that hospital placement?
So I'm shadowing my preceptor, who's a full-time nurse. So for my last semester in fourth year, I have a full-time nurse's schedule. And then after the ICU, it's coming up, I'm almost done. I'll be going to surgical in St. Catharines for my last rotation, and then I'm finished. Yeah, I take care of patients. It's more independent when you're in your fourth year, and you learn so much, especially in your pre-grad, because you're more independent at that stage. So,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that's the best way to learn, right? It's just you learn
oh,
by doing, you get the hands-on experience. I'm sure it's incredibly valuable for sure.
mhm.
So, you mentioned those social interactions earlier being so important. Now, a lot of those social interactions I found at Brock, for me personally, have come through like extracurricular activities, whether that be intramurals or different student clubs on campus. So, there's a wide range of things you can get involved with. Are you personally involved with any, extracurricular activities at Brock? And if you are, you want to tell us a little bit about those?
Yes. So last year, I was the president of the Brock Canadian Nursing Students Association. It's a long name, or we just call it Brock CNSA. And this year, I'm the senior executive mentor. So Brock CNSA is the primary nursing club on campus, and it's also a chapter of the nationwide Canadian Nursing Students Association. So we represent the voice of Brock nursing students, and our goal is to influence the educational, professional, and social aspects of the curriculum. And do you want to know some of the events that we did in the previous
Yeah,
year?
for sure. That'd be great.
Yeah, so we held a Scare Away Hunger event. That's what we called it. It was a food drive around Halloween, and we raised over 100 food cans that were brought in by the faculty members and the students, and we donated it to the St. Catharines Food Drive. We also have National Nursing Students Week in November. So then we handed out goodie bags for all the students. And students also have the opportunity to attend regional and national conferences. So before the pandemic, myself and a few other students were able to go to Montreal, and we got to meet nursing students across Canada, listen to educational speakers, and attend workshops. It was such a cool experience.
Yeah, certainly. Yeah, those are great experiences there, and I'm sure you made a lot of good connections through those clubs as well, I would imagine. So definitely, we highly encourage students to get involved almost as soon as they get onto Brock's campus, whether that be in an academic club or a club sort of related to your program like yours or anything really. Like I've said, there's plenty of opportunities around. So going a little bit more into your Brock experience, shifting away from nursing a little bit, I want to ask, did you live in residence on Brock's campus?
I didn't. I stayed at home. I already had a degree, so I decided to stay at home. But I still loved my experience at Brock. I got a parking pass and I had a car and went on campus. Everything is so central at Brock and it's so easy to get around.
Mhm.
Something I did is I decided to get a job on campus. And I thought it was a really good way to meet people and also earn some money.
Mhm.
And it was great because we had like secret Santas, we had group dinners, and I was always on campus. It didn't feel any different.
Yeah, for sure. What job did you have on campus?
I worked at the welcome desk in the Walker complex. I
Oh,
loved that job.
yeah, that's a great job in the Walker Complex, the number one employer of student staff on campus. But much like clubs, there is something for everyone. If you want to work on campus, you can work over there in the Walker Complex. You can work in one of our dining halls. You can work at the campus store. There's so many different choices for all different types of people. So that's great, great experience there.
Yeah.
Now, I want to wrap things up with one question that I like to ask every guest that comes on the show. It's a little bit more of a personal question. So I like to ask, what is your absolute favorite spot on Brock's campus? I know there's so many to choose from, but if you could pick just one, maybe that's something that you have a strong personal connection to, or maybe you just really like the sort of the aesthetics of it. What's your favorite spot on Brock's campus and why?
I remember I like to meet up with people and go for lunch at Isaac's Bar and Grill
Mhm.
at the top there. And I thought the food was good. I liked the vibes in there and the people were really friendly. So I had
Yeah,
a good time there.
no, I highly recommend. Great food. I had a great club sandwich there one time. I will never forget it. Definitely a great place to go on campus and great place to meet up with friends. So that wraps it up. Tara, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for sharing your Brock experience with us today.
Thanks for having me.
All right, awesome.
Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, you can contact us by email at futurestudent@brocku.ca.